get some analysis with Liberal MP, former ambassador to Israel, Dave Sharma. So on these numbers, will Netanyahu remain Prime Minister?
Well, you'd have to say he's in the best position of anyone at the moment. His party, Likud's taken about 25% of the vote, means they'll have the most number of seats in the Knesset, about 31 or 32 it looks like. They need 61 seats to form a government. He'll have to put together a coalition. That's not unusual in Israeli politics. So he's definitely got the best shot of anyone, but it's still quite a difficult pathway he's got to put together a governing coalition and keep his prime minister.
Yeah, it's always a coalition given their electoral system, isn't it? It favours minor
That's
parties.
right, yeah. I mean, it's basically like our Senate. It's a proportional representation system, not an electorally based system. So you vote for the party list, and generally speaking, Israel sort of ceased to be a two-party system about 30 years ago now.
And so where's Labor in this? They were quite a dominant party for a while there, but now Likud and Netanyahu, as we know, has been there for many years.
Look, the last time we had a Labor Prime Minister was Ehud Barak in 2000 Camp David, and when Ehud Barak went in to join Netanyahu in 2009, Netanyahu's second government, as Defence Minister, he basically splintered the Labor Party, and it's never been able to reassemble as a major political force. They'll come out of this with about 8 to 10 seats in the Knesset, but they're not going to be the main opposition here to Netanyahu.
There's one other party I was reading about, the Ram Party. What are the significance of the emergence of a party like that in terms of, and will a Netanyahu government or any Israeli government work with a party like that?
So generally speaking, there's 20% of Israel's population is Arab Israeli. They don't all tend to vote for Arab political parties, but a lot of them do. And so generally speaking, you'll get Arab political parties in the Knesset with somewhere between 10 to 15% of the seats. Generally speaking, the convention is no nationally oriented government will accept their support to form a government. So they're kind of and if Netanyahu would not form government with the Ram Party, nor would either in the opposition, they end up being sort of crossbenchers effectively.
So that's a reminder for a lot of people, if you don't know Israel well, but did you say, a quarter of the population?
About 20%, yeah.
Arab Israeli.
That's right, yeah. 20% Arab Israeli, and I mean there are Arab legislators or Palestinian legislators, if you like, in the Israeli Knesset. The Supreme Court justices are Arab Israelis, academics, police officers, and some senior officers in the military as well. So people often think Israel's a bit of a monolithic nation, but it's actually quite a diverse and multicultural nation.
Oh, so diverse. And one of the things, just to wrap up, if you can reflect on, is often the secular Israelis are quite scathing towards Orthodox Israelis for not working, that sort of thing, for their lack of contribution to the economy.
And interestingly, I mean, the main fault line here in Israel politics is more secular versus nationalist rather than a strict left and right. So Tel Aviv, for instance, that's the secular heart of Israel, votes overwhelmingly for secular parties and the centre-left. Jerusalem and some of the smaller towns and cities and the ultra-Orthodox neighbourhoods vote overwhelmingly for Netanyahu and his political allies. And that's basically the big political fault line in Israel.
And just one other thing before you go. The controversies don't seem to have diminished Netanyahu at all. He's had so many of them over the years, but they don't take any paint off?
So he's still got his court case underway. I'd have to say, though, that the last few months he's had a good pandemic. The vaccination rollout in Israel has been quicker than any other country in the world, and their life is getting back to normal, and he has reaped some political dividends from that.
Dave Sharma, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Kieran.